The man soaked a pile of model airplanes in the bathtub. Then, he peeled off the stickers from the models and stuck them on checks. $10,300 checks were thus made. The man only needed to pretend to be a pilot to casually exchange them for cash. However, ordinary banks did not have that much cash. After talking to the manager, the man learned that only airports had that much cash. So the man went to the airport. While he was cashing the checks, the flight attendant mistook him for a real pilot and enthusiastically invited him to assist with takeoff. To avoid exposing his disguise, the man had no choice but to agree. However, he knew nothing about flying. He could only rely on his charm to attract the flight attendant and never teach him more about aviation. In this way, the man experienced the importance of a pilot's identity. Later, to obtain more money, he used his pilot identity to learn the check-making process from a bank teller. However, the influx of counterfeit checks into the market had already caught the attention of the FBI. Soon, they pinpointed the man's location, but the man was completely unaware. The agents arrived at the hotel where the man was staying, but there was no one in the room. Suddenly, there was a noise coming from the bathroom. The man casually walked out and pretended to be the agent's colleague. However, the agent demanded to see his ID. The man had no choice but to comply. While the agent was checking his ID, the man used the neighbor outside the window to distract the agent.
Hey, Murph. Yeah, call the LAPD again. I don't want people walking through my crime scene.
His conversation with the neighbor successfully convinced the agent. The man then pretended to deliver evidence and asked the agent to wait in the room. The bored agent took the opportunity to check the man's wallet. To his surprise, it was filled with nothing but advertising cards. The agent realized what had happened and went to the window to look out, but all he saw was the man's fleeing figure. However, after this chase, the man found himself increasingly disinterested in money. Instead, he began to enjoy the feeling of being caught. He then called the agent and told him he would be at the airport. When the man arrived at the airport, he found himself surrounded by police. He then pretended to be a recruiter and held a flight attendant recruitment event. He walked into the airport with the flight attendants who had passed the interview. All the police were instantly distracted by the beautiful flight attendants and didn't notice him. Meanwhile, the detective received a tip about the man's target, but when he arrived, he found that it was just the man who had deliberately arranged for a driver to take him home.